Enough with high-end DACs. Dude, please stop. Our wallets cannot handle such content anymore. Please review some entry-level stuff so we can get them without selling our kidneys. Boo Core Dave, boo Terminator Plus, enough with that choo-choo hype train. We are begging for some entry-level gear reviews. I hear you loud and clear, and I understand that not everybody is fortunate enough to get or to play with high-end electronics. And while Khadas Tone2 is so far one of the tiniest and one of the most affordable DACs that I have reviewed around here, I assure you that it's one of the nicest things that I've heard at 159 bucks. Actually, if you hurry up, you can snatch a bad boy like this for 129 bucks. There's a link below, so please hurry up. I don't know how many units they have for sale. Alright guys, so let's check what's so cool and not so cool about the newest Khadas Tone2. Let's go. I have already reviewed the Tone2 Pro a while ago, a year ago, something like that, and while I don't have that one anymore, these two share a lot of things in common, with the exception that Tone2 doesn't have two headphone jacks, it doesn't have an MQA decoder on board, it has a slightly different output stage, so two op-amps are slightly different, it has a different XMOS receiver, but that's because it doesn't have MQA, otherwise these two are pretty much the same. It has the same rubber pad on its volume wheel, which is great. There's a much higher resistance while turning its volume wheel, which I really like because it doesn't matter how clumsy I am. I'm pretty sure that I will never blast full power while playing with its volume. It has a rubber pad on its back, so that's again cool because it works as glue. It will not move an inch on your table, which is again a pretty cool design decision. When it comes to controls, inputs and outputs, it has two digital inputs, so USB Type-C, it has a coaxial input. There's another USB Type-C, but that one is used only if you want to power this one with a linear power supply, or if you want to upgrade it with a Bluetooth module that adds, Bluetooth capabilities. That is called Bluetooth Magic. Here it is, so small. It goes for 45 bucks. So you can add Bluetooth capabilities to this one if you want. While it might look like it has a single RCA output, these are actually 3-pole RCA output. So these are balanced RCAs, and with a special adapter cable, you can have a fully balanced output from this one. I'll put a link below so you can check out those adapter cables if you need them. As for tech inside it, as I was saying, this is pretty much a Tone2 Pro without headphone jacks and without MQA capabilities. Otherwise, these two are sharing a lot of stuff in common. Tone2 is being powered by a mobile ES9038 Q2M mobile chipset, followed by two OPA op-amps and two Rycore op-amps. So yes, all 4 channels have been used. Meaning that Khadas tried squeezing maximum performance out of this ESS Saver silicon. There's an XMOS receiver on board that will deal with all these digital inputs, and you can make it a little smarter by adding that Bluetooth receiver, which supports all the latest codecs as LDAC and aptX HD. Alright guys, this is pretty much it, so let's check how it actually performs. While I no longer have the original Tone2 Pro with me, I can definitely feel that this one performs very similarly as a wall, with the exception that I never found this one dead neutral. And I'm not sure if Trafomatic Primavera is playing some tricks on me, but most probably it does, because I never found this one edgy, bright sounding in the treble, clinical, bothering in the treble, something that was happening with the original Tone2 Pro, being connected to a benchmark HP for headphone amplifier. I know, apples versus oranges, very different amplifiers, but still when I was connecting this one to a Barson Soloist 3X GT, which is very extended in the treble, very powerful in the treble, very defined in the treble, I never found that treble actually bothering or edgy or bright sounding. It was very calm sounding in the treble, so clearly this one sounds quite different, especially in the treble. I have experienced those Rycore op amps that are sitting inside this one in several Shinling portable digital audio players, and those Shinling devices always sounded quite smooth, relaxed, easygoing, and I'm pretty sure that those Rycore op amps left some traces of that sound inside this one, so clearly this one sounds a little different compared to original Tone2 Pro. By far the biggest surprise for me with this one was transparency, was detail retrieval, was how clean it sounded. It sounded just amazing. Pretty much on the same level with several mid-level DACs, so that was kind of amazing. While it will not outperform some heavy hitters, some high-end DACs that will cost you an arm and a leg, it will easily sound on the same level or maybe outperform something like topping the D10S, D50S, Sonkos QX-D1 or SMSL SU8S. So that was kind of amazing because this one is actually a little cheaper and of course much smaller. With Hifemann all the usual suspects were appearing in my tunes, so it's a crystal clear sounding unit and it was not adding any kind of veil on top of my music. I do believe that transparency is pretty high on this one and I could easily focus on those small details, like maybe a brush stick touching a drum somewhere deep inside my tunes. And considering that we're dealing with a $129 unit, I don't think there's a unit that has a higher value than this one. Sadly, I cannot test its noise floor the usual way because it doesn't have headphone outputs anymore. But still, when I was connecting this one to my headphone amplifiers, to a power amplifier, I never felt that it was raising that noise floor, so it was pretty much dead silent with all my headphones and with my loudspeakers. Khadas is stating 3.5 microvolts of noise, which is a little higher than state-of-the-art DACs of today, but a little lower compared to DACs released a few years ago, so that is actually fine. However, if you are crazy enough and you want maximum performance out of this one, you can actually hook it up to a linear and regulated power supply for even a better noise rejection. By far the most impressive and the most important part of a DAC is how much information it can bring forward, or detail retrieval as I like to call it. And of course, by far the most impressive part about this one is detail retrieval, because no matter if I was listening to CDs, CD quality tunes, to high resolution files or to DSD content, it always worked as a magnifying glass, always trying to show me all those tiny details without making my music fake or too processed sounding in a way. So 2 days ago, I finished and I posted my Ever Solo DAC Z8 review. And I remember trying ever a single musical genre, a very long playlist. And while that one sounded bigger in terms of soundstage, more dynamic, much punchier in the bass, in terms of detail retrieval, this one was pretty much the same with the DAC Z8. So detail retrieval, just amazing. Transparency, amazing. Very clear sounding. So this part alone is super important and super impressive on the Tone2. While I don't see myself using this one in a high-end stereo setup, I can see myself using this one with some powered loudspeakers, with a portable or with a desktop headphone amplifier. So I do believe that the possibilities are almost endless, considering its bass power design and its very small body. Moving on to soundstage, or how far away it can push all those sounds in a live recording, I feel that this is one of the two complaints that I have with this one. While it was not really showing all those sounds inside my head and it was not really bidimensional or flat sounding, it didn't really unlock my third eye when I was listening to live tunes. I wasn't really dwelling around my tunes and I never felt that I was surrounded by a blanket of sounds. And I feel that, everything was a little smaller, closer, cozier sounding, as if I swapped my live tunes with some cozy jazz tunes that I'm listening on Friday evenings. So it will not impress that much in terms of soundstage, but I do believe that its transparency does help a little bit, achieving a well spread and quite airy sound, but not so big type of sound. So it will not outperform the Soundstage kings like Gustard R26 Discrete, like Denafrips Terminator Plus, but that's okay because this one is so cheaper, more affordable. Moving on to Transient Response, or how fast and how impactful it can sound with your tunes, I can praise its Speedy Gonzalez abilities because it was very fast, very nimble, agile with all my tunes. It was ahead of my tunes. Even with electronica tracks, it was very fast. However, it was not that punchy, it was not pounding hard in the bass, and that is my second complaint that I have with this one. It was not that impressive sounding, it was not delivering that final kick in the sub bass. However, please don't get sad because you can improve that bass slam with some mean sounding amplifiers, headphone amplifiers integrated or power amplifiers. Just use some mean sounding units and you'll be solving that limited bass kick. From entry-level headphone amplifiers, I do recommend that XDO MT604, that will be improving this one quite a lot. And from power amplifiers, I recommend that tapping PA5, that should solve its bass issues. I mean, what you really expected from such a palm-sized, card-sized DAC that has a very limited output stage and power supply implementation, I believe that's fine. It still sounds fast. You just need to use a better, not a better, mean sounding amplifier and you'll be just okay. Moving on to frequency response, it provided a clean and nimble bass output that can be improved down the road with some nasty sounding amplifiers. So bass quality is very high with this one and bass quantity not so much, and this is where big amplifiers are coming to play. So I felt it agile and really fast sounding with modern tunes, and I believe that it was punchy enough for the size and for the price. Its mid-range region is probably the nicest region in terms of frequency response because it doesn't have the usual ESS Sabre sound that is clean, detailed, but not so emotional and alive. I believe that those Rycore op-amps made this one a little fuller bodied, a little denser sounding, more textured sounding in the mid-range, because it does feel fuller sounding compared to its bigger brother Tone2 Pro. So voices sounded like voices, wooden instruments sounded quite real, and I have really nothing to complain in terms of mid-range performance. There is one region that felt completely different compared to its bigger brother, and that was the treble. While it will play everything up until top octave is being reached, it is not adding any kind of sharpness as its bigger brother is doing. While I cannot say that it rolls off parts of the upper treble, there is simply nothing of that ringing or sharpness in the top octave. So if I'm following this one with a tube amplifier, then I can listen even to most treble intensive tracks, to bright sounding headphones, and that wouldn't be a problem in the long run. And mind you, I cannot stand brightness and nasty treble. Wrapping things up, an MQA decoder and 2 headphone jacks have been dropped, making room for a much more affordable price point. What was worth every single penny right now feels like dirty cheap, like getting free candy on Halloween. This thing has an amazing value attached to it, and because it lacks a noise floor and while providing a super high detail retrieval and transparency. Go for one if you'll be using it with some powered loudspeakers, if you need a bass powered USB DAC, and if you really dislike big, heavyweight and overpriced DACs. A few things can still be improved down the road, but I still think that it deserves my praise and recommendation. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as usual, listen to my tunes, be positive, and I'll see you soon. Cheers! Please review some entry-level stuff so we can purchase them without selling our kids, selling our kidneys, selling our kids and our kidneys.